Welcome back, Alicia Lee, Doug Oliver, JimsRadio.net, 91.7 FM.
JimsRadio.net, you're right.
Oh, boy, Celebrity Spotlight.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to introduce him yet, because we're going to keep him as a secret right now.
Yeah, but
Doug, keep it. Hold up. I don't want to hear the question. I know what the question is. The Eli Manning crap. So,
what's up with him being benched?
We're going to answer that real quick. He's not being benched. What they're doing is this: when you got a team that's 2-11, and your star player, you're not trying to get him hurt for the rest of it. Especially when you got. Let me finish the answer. I know what she's about to interrupt. She just, women, they just talk. They just talk. So what happens is when you got a player like that, first of all, you got two things: you don't want him to get hurt, and you might want to trade him. So if you want to trade him, you don't want him to get hurt either. So what happens is they're not making the playoffs. They're not going anywhere. So the best thing to do is see what they got out there so they know what kind of moves they're going to have a sub quarterback come in. They're going to have sub receivers. They're going to see what they got right now so they know what they got to work on. He might not be going nowhere. But this is the time to do it.
Bottom line, Eli Manning's getting benched. He's being replaced for this Sunday's game by Geno Smith. So
someone that don't nothing about football.
I'm just saying.
You don't bench. They're not benching a person that makes $10 million
for a Sunday game.
Every time he want to talk over me, that's how she is.
He's benching him for Sunday game.
$10 million every time he goes out there and throw that ball. He's not getting benched. They just seeing what they got.
This Sunday he's getting benched.
Okay, so she don't know football. She know hockey.
I know Sunday he getting benched.
She know hockey, and that's it.
Well, I'm proud to introduce our in-house celebrity guest. I met this individual in Newark in Prudential while he was giving his career talk. And I actually followed him to the Circle of Sisters in New York City at the Jacob Javits Center, doing some things with WBLS and everything like that. He's worked with Harpo Studios. He worked as a freelancer at Harpo Studios. He did some things at BET. He's an author. And he's in studio with us, with Doug Oliver, Alicia Lee, 91.7 FM. And I want you to tell him who I'm talking about.
Hello, everybody. This is Patrick L. Riley. Yes. Did I give it my radio broadcast voice?
Did you hear that voice? This is Patrick L. Riley. Did you hear that voice? Hear radio voice.
Yes.
Well, I've been listening in to you, Alicia, and you, Doug. I wanted to steer clear from the prior conversation. I plead the fifth. But I agree with each of you. Was that diplomatic enough?
That's politics.
I don't want to be so polarizing off the top. I'm a Southern boy. I come from Southern parents, but we were just doing it by way of, the Euro and the Asia.
How are you in now?
Yeah.
My base is Jersey. I'm here with you folks. Richfield Park, New Jersey. So my line since '95 is I sleep in Jersey. I live in the city.
Nice.
So there's a lot of
I like that. Sleep in Jersey.
Sleep in Jersey, live in the city. A lot of my work, a lot of the clients come out of Manhattan, but I retreat to Richfield Park every night.
How did you get into this whole industry?
I'm after I left Savannah, I went to Morehouse College. Y'all know one of our esteemed HBCUs out of Atlanta, Georgia. It's the alma mater of Martin Luther King Jr., Spike Lee. When I'm with my people, I know they're like, we know. But some of these media outlets have to explain the backstory of what a Morehouse, what an HBCU is. But with that,
people don't know what HSBCU is.
Some don't know. Some don't know. They think it's a bank or right, exactly. But it's a historically black college or university.
Isn't it a bank?
No,
that's a HBCU.
Yeah, but not
HBCU. HC.
This is a historically
black college or university. But I had HSBC.
Yeah,
that's it. It's HSBC.
You for the university.
That's it. Okay. So I did Morehouse for 4 years, 88 to 92. Started my career in broadcast. So I studied there at Morehouse in conjunction with Clark Atlanta University, which had a big broadcast department. And I did kind of the same trajectory that Spike Lee did, Bill Nunn, Sam Jackson. A lot of them worked that kind of cross-registration bit. and started out in local news, Good Day Atlanta. Well, I started out as a reporter trainee at the ABC affiliate. Oh, nice. And I thought I would kind of graduate in that direction, but I knew that entertainment and pop culture were a part of what I wanted to do. So much of what local news represents and represented at the time was if it bleeds, it leads. I was chasing fires and homicides. Wasn't my thing. But the competing station reached out to me to help them launch as a producer / entertainment personality. Good Day Atlanta. Like, some of the Good Day New York, all the Good Day franchises. So I helped launch that in '93, did that for a few years, and that really introduced me to the world that I would come to embrace.
How did you get there?
So I came to New York after a few years with Good Day Atlanta. To an opportunity from a mentor with the National Association of Black Journalists. Sheila Steinbach was a big New York reporter anchor at the time, and a mentor of mine, and she thought I might fare well if I had left Atlanta to come to CNBC and work with their primetime unit. And I was assigned, the first thing I was assigned was Geraldo Rivera's primetime show, Rivera Live. And it was amidst the trial of the century, the criminal trial and the criminal first and then the civil. And as a producer for that show, even though it wasn't entertainment and pop culture exactly, we now have the last 20 years to know that it's the trial of the century. And it has translated into entertainment in no small way, given the miniseries and the success that it has brought many of the actors who are portraying those characters from that time. But at the time, I didn't realize we were sort of setting a pattern for TV. People were really interested in court TV. After Johnny Cochran finished one, he would go on to become one of the big legal pundits. He would be one of the first people to reach out to me after Geraldo to say, hey, do you want to come and work for me? I didn't, because I realized what was happening with the industry.
What's so funny about that trial, that stemmed a lot of careers.
Absolutely.
The Kardashians.
Robert Kardashian. Absolutely. I used to book Tavis Smiley. He would go on to have his own show, but he was just a voice that I would bring on to bring some balance to this polarizing argument. It was did he do it, didn't he do it, but then there was the whole racial dynamic, the socioeconomical dynamic, and we were having those conversations. Geraldo had his opinion, but he didn't mind bringing in those other voices. So Nancy Grace is another one. I just last year did an Oprah Where Are They Now piece on her, and we were both reminded of kind of how we started out in the business together. Her as a pundit coming out of being a prosecutor, and me as a booker producer. And so 20 years later, I'm finding out where she is, and Oprah is
runs deep.
By that time, BET. After Oprah wrapped in 2011, I had to sort of expand my thing, because I was a freelance field producer for the Oprah show from '98 until it ended.
And you met her in person and everything, or did you?
Worked with her, produced her in the field where necessary. Sometimes I was in the field doing the stories, but I'd bring them back to studio in Chicago to write the script and have her go into audio and would narrate. She'd narrate the scripts and all of that stuff. So over those many years, there are a lot of teams, and a lot of those teams outsourced for my field producing expertise, which was often to just go into different people's homes and to interview the celebrity subjects where they were. It could, as I love to say, it could be Bill Clinton on Martin Luther King's birthday on the last Monday of his time in the White House. It was an interview in the Roosevelt Room. I remember that day in particular because I was scheduled to sing at a Morehouse alumni event in New York.
Wait. You sing?
Oh, I sing too. As a sidelight. Sidelight.
Yep.
And that comes out of Morehouse, the Glee Club, the Morehouse College Glee Club.
You're not a
traveled us and
you know how to step?
You know how to step?
Oh,
you know what? I did step, but via the dorms. I'm not Greek. I'm me. a couple of those frats weren't on the campus at the time. Now, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I might have considered that route. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. So all that to say, from what I came to, what I went on to do Oprah. Oh, right. So out of doing those many years with Oprah, I had to sort of expand my clientele. And I have continued to work for the network, the Oprah Winfrey Network, as a freelancer. They call on me to do spot things, but it's not like being on a retainer, working for the show during the full season, that kind of thing. So with that, I have attracted other clients like BET Creative Services, work with them annually on their upfronts. You know, they do the big presentation to the advertisers in the spring to let you know what's coming up. So that presentation is comprised largely of audio visual and art design, and I work with their creative team to write those scripts, produce those videos, work with the editors to get all that tape that we're looking at on the big screen. So BET is a recurring client. Tribute videos for Deborah Lee, you know, if she's being honored, they will bring me in for a few weeks to gather those assets, interview her industry peers, and put that together to make it nice. One of the big tributes I did for her was when she got the Brandon Tartikoff Award from the TV Academy. So that was a piece that I produced that Mara Brock Akil presented. So I get the chance to not only kind of work with the tape, but also work with the talent that either works on the tape or presents the tape. Sometimes I have to work on their intros or their tags, that kind of thing. So BET is a client in that regard. Wendy Williams is a client in that regard. The Wendy Williams Show doesn't do a lot of tape, and you know, because I'm a field producer, that's kind of the realm I work in. But integrated marketing has become a big thing for talk shows. They bring in those VP sales type people to attract opportunities to the show. And early on, she began to attract tourism type things, the British Virgin Islands, Las Vegas, Walt Disney World, and those were moments where they would then call me and say, can you come in and work with us for a month, come up with the creative on what we're going to do with Wendy when we go to Disney. You'll be there you'll go scout it out, and then you'll be with her the following week to produce her through all of that, come back, get those pieces together, and then they roll those out over a sweeps month, you know, in November or July, that kind of thing. When she turned 50 a year or so. Well,
good question, Doug. Good question.
That is a good question. You know, I make it work because I think I told myself early on when I knew that I wasn't going to go the route of being a reporter, anchor in the traditional sense, meaning you just go from contract to contract. I knew that I was going to be attracting the work that I wanted. And in attracting pop culture, entertainment, arts, and culture, in being able to be me, in being able to produce, but also be on camera for spot opportunities, to be able to brand myself a pop culture and analyst, and to attract work the likes of that, and to attract media shops the likes of that who want that from me. I knew that I was going to have to be willing to do and go the extra mile. And I do get tired, but I have appraised in my world good support. You know, I have good friends that I've had since, since middle school, who are still in my life, and so in the feast or famine of my world, those who took a straighter path are good support to me when I'm waiting on that big check to come. Because, you know, it doesn't always, it's not going to hit every Friday.
Check is big when it comes.
When it comes, it's great, and it fills in all your blanks, but if you're waiting on it because you're working on that project for 2 months, and then it's a net 30 cup, you know, you might be waiting a little bit. That kind of thing. I have good people in my world. I have a partner of 13 years, Anthony, who's in the business as well. So we also kind of have the yin and yang of, when things are going well with me, you know, he has that luxury of maybe taking a breather, and vice versa. Gotcha. So in this cut now, I'm working on a book project, so I'm having to say no to some things so that I can stay on deadline with this project. But he's got something going on. Yeah, I'm working on a book. Dorothy,
you got to slow down. You getting stuff going past me, and then I catch it.
I have a book that's going to be out in March. That's what Friends are for, on the women who inspired me. And this is a new publishing house out of D.C., Dorothy Books, that came to me. Nice. And they've been following my blog. I have a blog, The Life of Riley, and it just covers kind of everything I'm talking about now and then some. Kind of just what every 2 weeks I might digest what the last 2 weeks looked like between New York and New Jersey and wherever else I may have flown. And so they've been following it, over the last 12, 14 years. They've been seeing the impressions I've been making on TV and beyond. And they thought, what would it look like if you talked about these great women? They thought, black women would be sort of a good study. And what would it look like if you just kind of gathered all those snapshots that I mostly take, at industry parties on my phone, and I say, Aunt, here's the phone, take the picture. It could be me with Diana Ross. It could be Beyonce, Janet Jackson.
Who are some of the women?
I'm naming them. Yeah. These are the women. Okay. The women who inspired me, because the way that the book is sort of set up, it's kind of like the ones who inspired me from the womb, including my mom. God rest her soul. I lost her when I was 23, but she's like my first diva, Queen Elizabeth Bellinger Riley. That's her name, Queen Elizabeth Bellinger Riley. So I talk about sort of the early influences of who she was to me. She was a singer as well, the likes of a Mahalia Jackson. So though she didn't stay in Savannah where she sang in the church, wherever we went all over the globe, she was kind of a on-command singer at the chapel. The chapel.
Patrick, do you still sing?
I do still sing. I want to hear something. Not. Don't put me on the spot right now.
On the spot, but I'm saying, well, maybe you guys sing.
Patrick.
What did you?
I was saying towards the end.
Hold on. All I got to say is, I told you, they just talk.
Yeah.
They just talk. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I understand. I understand.
Just think about it.
I'll ponder.
Just think about it.
Well, I'll tell you how it is resurfaced. When I came to New York, one of the things I used to always do are evenings of song. I would just get a rhythm section, a bass, drums, and a piano, and I would book a room on Restaurant Row, either Don't Tell Mama or the Duplex in the Village, the Bitter End in the Village, and just kind of give an evening of song. And that was from 95 to 2006. I would do those, every other month, that kind of thing.
Sound like you have a good voice.
Circumstances were such that I didn't continue to do those, but I, in 2010, attracted this franchise called All Star Karaoke.
Okay.
In Harlem.
Nice.
And we originally were doing it at Native Restaurant, which is now Sexy Taco. Then Billy's Black picked us up, which is now B2 or B Squared. Okay. And then Missed Harlem. Wonderful venue on 116th between Lenox and 5th has picked us up. So we do periodic brunches there.
Oh, nice.
And just last month we did, for their Caribbean Monday night, a tie-in with the Broadway show Once on This Island. And so what makes this All-Star Karaoke kind of unique is it is more like an open mic.
Right.
And I'm able to call my friends in. I get Monifa in, who's an amazing singer from the air. That's... that's Heavy D's Discovery from the late 90s. That's his diva. Right. God rest his soul. Kiki Wyatt, if she's got something new to release or promote, she might come by my little intimate room and share it with our tastemakers, do a little duet with me, that kind of thing. Okay. And we've gone viral with those videos as well. Nice. So you can also look on the video as I appraise my vocal quality. I wasn't prepared to sing. But that said, so that has become like this new kind of next level thing that has allowed me to keep singing on a level where people they come from far and near to hear it, but it's also it's a relaxed sidelight because with everything else I have going on, I can't do that full time, but it's a lovely thing to incorporate into.
Well, sometimes the things that you don't have time for, it's the things that everybody want to hear.
You get it. But then you also, it goes back to your question. You said, How do you find time for Patrick? Yeah. That's like an example, and it's something that I'm able to do, kind of get a little revenue from, because we have to think creatively. I'm an independent. All of these 20 years, those credits are all my credits, but I have each and every one of those credits as a freelancer by choice. Nice. The first year I did Harpo, they wanted to say full-time. I'm like, I kind of like our arrangement. You get.
Now you're a speaker too, right?
And I do a lot of speaking,
inspiring speaking.
Yeah, motivational speaking.
You seem like that.
It's become a new calling. Yet again, in that post-Oprah show era, I had to really think about what is the what's next going to look like. I knew I could continue to produce other folks on a high level, and I have done that. There has been Wendy. There's BET. I did Anderson Cooper when he had a show for a few months. Anderson Cooper. Remember, he had a talk show for a quick bit. And so being able to continue to do that with others after you've done Oprah has been a blessing.
It's a true blessing.
And
but
yet,
you're forgetting one thing.
What?
That you're an actor.
Oh, well,
you're trying to get to that.
Okay, it's so funny you say that. You make me blush about this.
But finish the other stuff. We got time.
All right,
get to your
I'm going to talk about the acting in 2 seconds, but the only point I was going to make was that once I'm in a calling. Like my career has been a calling.
Right.
What had me leave CNBC when I left CNBC to freelance was a part of my calling. Nice. Attracting NBC4 to do special projects out of that opportunity with CNBC was a calling, because they came to me kind of with what it is that I want to do, but they said, come and do it with Al Roker at NBC4, come do it with Sue Simmons. So I got good training ground in the #1 local market to do more of what I do. And then Oprah came a calling. So then I did that for 13, 14 years, and then needed to do, because I'm not independently wealthy, so you have to keep working. So in that instance, I kept, I went on to attract these other great freelance clients, but to the speaking. In that same window, a lot of NYU has come a calling, wanting me to do, I do every summer for their urban journalism workshop and art of the interview course, a lecture. I attracted Rutgers University this year to do the same thing. I'm a big mentor with NABJ Arts and Entertainment Task Force, as well as their LGBTQ Task Force. I say NABJ, but that's the National Association of Black Journalists. And then I do a lot of work with the Gay Straight Alliances in New York and throughout the tri-state area with Live Out Loud, which is an LGBTQ mentoring organization. So to be able to go in and talk to these kids who are finding themselves, as I have had to do myself, that's what we were doing when we were together in Newark at Prudential. They literally, Prudential literally called me and said, we'd love to pay you this amount of money to come and talk about yourself. Nice. That's what that was.
That was nice.
So I'm learning, I have to keep that as a line item.
Now, go ahead. Let me ask you, let's see, I heard you talking about the journalist part. Are you familiar with Zelda Miles, Oliver? Down in Georgia and Birmingham?
I do know the name, absolutely, because I
She was doing the news.
Absolutely.
She did both, and it was my cousin, that's what
Yes.
And right now they gave her Comcast. She has a cooking channel right now.
Oh, awesome!
She does a cooking channel, and she's working on her second book right now.
I don't know when, but she does. Sometimes she does come to NABJ. I don't know how recently I've seen her, but yes.
Oh, she's involved. When you said that, I said,
I actually was the regional director down there, in that southern region. So Alabama was a part of my world in the 90s.
Yes.
And Atlanta still, the Atlanta Association of Black Journalists, it's been 20 plus years since I lived there. Nice. They still, I'm like an honorary member, and I love it. I love the South.
I love the South too.
I wanted to ask you, for people that's trying to find themselves right now, which is a really good thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
That you've done in Newark and Prudential Center. What is your advice? Like, what do you say to them? Like, because it's hard trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
To actually say, okay, this is who I am.
Right.
Whether the world accepts me or not.
Right.
What do you
say? I say for the young people, I think it's very important. You know, sometimes they'll when you go on a talk show, they'll give you the picture of yourself and they say, "What do you say to your young self? What do you say to little 8-year-old Patrick or little 10-year-old Patrick?" And what I say to any of the young people is that it does get better, and despite the voices you hear in your head, and despite probably the voices that are coming from your most intimate loved ones, it might be your mother or your father or your sister or your brother. They might be your most homophobic influences that make you not want to come out. They just might be. Understand that over time they will come around. And here I am, you know, out and proud, have been since the mid-90s, did not come out in college, you know, as evidence that it was a journey for me. And I still have homophobic family members. Do you? But have they come around? Yes, they have. You know, do they accept my partner? Is he a little more than a special friend 13 years into our relationship? Yes. When I first took him to Savannah, Georgia, was he called a special friend? And, you know, were we getting side eyes? Absolutely. You know, did one family member say they'd prefer, crackhead cousin to a gay cousin? They said it. Did they apologize some years later? Yes, they did. You know, did they regret saying it? Yes. Did it hurt me for a long time? Like to the point where maybe I wouldn't have been able to forgive that hurt? Absolutely. Did I get through and over that hurt? Yes, I did. So my advice is stay the course, knowing that there will continue to be a rocky road, and that society is on your side, but there's also resistance. We are experiencing resistance as Black people in society, as LGBTQ people in society. We're experiencing it. We don't have to say the name, 45. We don't have to say the name. But I think staying the course and understanding what vulnerability really is the power move. So for me, whenever I'm even uncomfortable about talking about it, I talk about it anyway.
Nice. Now, I know some people are going to have misunderstanding about things anyway.
Absolutely.
We're always going to find reason to hate.
Yeah.
That's one thing we do good.
Yeah.
Find reason to hate. You know, if it's black or white, fat or skinny.
Yeah.
You got brown eyes, I got black eyes.
Oh, yeah.
You got blonde hair, I got black.
It's like that human behavior, right? Yeah.
We're always going to find that.
Or make fun of, right?
Oh, when I was younger, you know, we don't give up no age here, but when I was younger.
Black don't crack, though. Black's not cracking in this room, in this studio.
But I would say I'm going to go back maybe close to 25 years. I drove down to Alabama, down to, you know, Birmingham. You know, that's where I'm fan from Marion and Selma, all those areas down there. So I heard rumor talks about my uncle. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I didn't really care to pay attention to it. So I went by his house where he was staying at, and I met his partner. I was lost a little bit because I didn't know. I was like, what are you talking about? They said, hey man, you know some things you gotta know about your uncle, and I didn't know what they were talking about. So I came in. He said, oh, I made y'all something to eat, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm still lost here. It turned out to be to the day. That's my best uncle. He's my best uncle. Yeah. Like right now, he go, hey, what you doing? When you coming down? And I said, man, I don't know when I'm gonna make it down there. But the point I'm trying to get across is you can't stereotype anything.
Yeah.
Love to you can come in many ways.
Absolutely.
And
the degree to which we'll judge anything is not our place.
Exactly.
That's cornbread.
Okay.
I said myself making cornbread.
And we don't want to stereotype because I didn't get that gene, and I joke also that I didn't get the shopping gene. You know, it's like I was like, I have a lot of style, but I hate to shop. You know, they're like, why? I'm like, I don't shop. Okay, don't profile me. But at the same time, the love I give is real. So for my cousins, nieces, and nephews, all those who had homophobic people in their immediate life who needed to qualify crazy gay Uncle Patrick, No, I'm the Rock. Yes, so to your point, they know I'm the Rock. Yes. And as results go, over these many years, I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Yeah, I'm not going to shade their parents, but I'm still standing. One of those old world theaters in Jersey City, 1,500 seater, packed to our community. And there Rudy was on that big screen, and I was flinching, just like, oh my God. And every moment killed. And after the screening, they had a Q&A where they invited the lead actors, because I'm more of a featured player throughout. They had the lead actors come in, and then they said, and the rest of the cast. And as I'm coming up, I hear the audience saying, Rudy, Rudy. They're calling me by the character's name, Rudy, Rudy. So the host of the Q&A says, and Rudy, we have to have Rudy come up. So we have done maybe a dozen film festivals since then, Urban World Film Festival, Newark Film Festival. From that premiere to the next screening to every screening since, we've got one coming up in January. Rudy is on the platform with the big actors. Nice. Rudy is someone who, when I'm sometimes leaving I remember I was at the Newark International Film Festival, and I needed to leave the screening to get to the path, or get to the bus to get to the path to get home. It was like a humbling moment of, yes, it's my movie, I'm in the movie, but I got to catch the bus to get home, to catch my bus in time to get home. And as I'm walking out to try to catch the bus, I ended up having to get an Uber because I was too late, because suddenly there were all these guys and gals in line wanting to take pictures with Rudy. That's nice. And it was like a really affirming thing, because they were guys like my dad, my straight dad, and guys like my straight brother, and they were like, Rudy, we gotta get a picture with you. So I have been healed in many ways. They talk about art imitating life. Yeah. Art is a healing kind of serum inside our life, whether it's through music. This part has healed those parts of me that had not healed up to that point, because we're constantly getting better. And this part has made me better, and I'm happy that I did it. When I see it on the big screen now, I don't cringe. It was a good opportunity. Nice. A good opportunity. So nice. How others will see it, I don't know. I know the filmmakers are taking a lot of meetings with cable outlets like BET and TV1, as well as distributors for it to have some kind of big film run. But there are a couple more film festivals that they're going to do, and hopefully everyone will be able to see it, if not just on demand, because just the feedback has been beautiful. Nice. It's been beautiful.
That's good. Wow.
So I'm an actor, as well.
Is there anything we missed?
I think you covered all the bases.
Pro basketball player?
You missed something else.
Tell me.
Running back?
Nope.
Well, Pat Riley, my namesake, is the Miami Heat general or owner, I guess, right?
What you miss is your upcoming event that you're doing in Dominican.
Oh yes, I'm a brand ambassador or celebrity ambassador for Greg Douglas Presents its LGBT Music and Arts Festival, and this is the third year that they've asked me back. We're going to be in the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana this year, Memorial Day weekend. We did Puerto Rico, and we are praying for Puerto Rico.
Out there, right?
Yeah, that's the resort. We did Puerto Rico the last 2 years, but it's a wonderful festival in which LGBTQ notables and our allies come out to celebrate. There's wonderful music, live entertainment, including Monifa and her wife, Therese. They do a big spades competition. I do a special installment of All-Star Karaoke. We have different people who are being honored last year. Oh, and what they have for me to do is host the signature event, which is the Vanguard Awards. This year I should say, we honored Brandy, who's as one of our allies, who they flew in the night of the event, and she sang and was so happy to be honored by the LGBTQ set, because like many divas, they really respect and appreciate and honor their gay following, if you will. It's a little bit of what I sprinkle into my book, is that embrace that they have of us when maybe our own loved ones don't. So it's why I say that's what friends are for. They're kind of like our friends before we really establish unconditional friends in our real life. You can kind of count on your diva to give you what you need to maybe get out of bed and do those things. So with that, Brandy was one of the honorees this year. Coming up, we're honoring Tweet.
Okay.
Tweet is going to be there singing as only she does. She's one of those singers.
Yep.
So we're excited to have her in the house. B. Slade was with us this year. I think he's going to be back with us next year. But it's always a great mix of wonderful folks who, and I'm going to be one of the featured authors, promoting my book because it'll be out by then. So I'm going to be doing signings and presentation in that regard as well.
And for people who still want to be a part of this trip,
for people who
taking money now,
we are. Do you have the?
I believe I might have that information.
If you and I, I'm being a bad ambassador.
Okay, I got you. That's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for. But thank you.
Yep. So let's see if I can.
It's Gregory Douglas.
Yeah.
And the festival is in his name, and there's a number there, but I think there's a website as well.
It's a phone number.
Yeah, give that number.
Phone number 404-756-8433, and it's the LGBT Arts and Culture Music Fest, May 25th to the 29th.
And it's on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And Gregory Douglas will be on the other end of that phone number, and he can talk to you about the special packages, the plans, and they're updating great names and folks who are going to be in the mix with us every day. We've had Raven Simone. In fact, she came last year. She came last year, the first year, just to hang out, which was almost a coming out for her in a sense. People know she's LGBTQ or bi or whatever you want to label it. She's uncomfortable, right? And she's uncomfortable with it as well, and yet she embraced the affirming atmosphere in which this year she was honored.
Nice.
And she couldn't come because she was working. She's got her new reboot on Disney Channel. So
she's not on Good Morning.
She's not on The View anymore because she's back on Family Channel with Raven's Home, which is the updated reboot of her very popular sitcom.
Eve,
No, Eve is on The Talk.
The Talk, okay.
Raven, at that time of The View, did they just get rid of her? They had so many hosts, so many rotating hosts. What are they doing?
So
I'm going to be at The View. I'm going to The View on Thursday to see my favorite diva, Diana Ross.
Wait, hold on. Diana Ross is going to be
on Thursday.
Oh, I love Diana Ross.
She looks pretty good.
She looks great. She was, I was so honored. It's natural. It's all natural, head to toe. I was so don't talk about my teeth, but no. I'm teasing.
It's hard, and she seldomly come out.
She seldomly comes out, and I was so happy that the American Music Awards gave her a long overdue Lifetime Achievement honor, and that her legacy could show up not just in her life's work, but in her children. Her daughter, Tracee Ellis Ross, the Golden Globe Emmy award-winning, Emmy-nominating Blackish actress, was the host, and she had all her kids in the mix, all the grandkids, and so many doors. And we're kind of right at that point where people might forget. I run into millennials who say, I know Michael Jackson, but I don't know Diana Ross, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's the other reason I wanted to do this book, because I'm right on that threshold. Like my nephew, who's 30, tells his peers the things that I taught him. So he knows when he hears Monica, who's someone he loves, when he heard that song the first night, and he's like, it's such a great song. What's that lick? There's something that makes it so good. I said, it's that Diana Ross sample, Love Hangover. It was a number one hit in 1976. So when his friends are saying, oh, that's so great, my nephew has that intel. So over these years, he's had the intel. So even after Sunday night at the American Music Awards, he had the intel on which song she chose. Ease on Down the Road. They don't know The Wiz. Ease on Down the Road is from The Wiz. It was a special selection that homaged Michael Jackson a little bit, without making it a downer. You know what I mean?
What have you learned about this industry? Like the do's and the don't and the advice to give?
I've learned, and it's a cliche, all that glitters isn't gold. And so this industry is like a great industry. I couldn't think of any other industry I'd want to be in. It's been good to me. I call, for me as an independent, it feast or famine. And boy, when it's a feast, it's a feast. My brother, he's just, a regular guy. Sometimes when I'm complaining, he's like, what are you really complaining about? You're complaining about the snafu in your flight, but you're flying first class. You're complaining about room service, but you're getting room service. You're complaining. It's the lens. So I know how grateful I have been, but I also know, to that earlier question, how do you find Patrick in this situation? I love it too. Yes. And it's speaking to me, which is why I keep bringing it up. Yep. I also know that this industry can eat you up and spit you out. So it's very important for me.
He's out there too.
It's important for us
to. Let me ask you though, Pat. What is it that you want to do next that you haven't done?
I think I'm right on the threshold of the what's new, what's next. The idea of having a book that is kind of the promotional piece that attracts speaking opportunities, guest lecture opportunities. And though that has been in my mix, it's always kind of been the additional thing. And I have this idea, and with this publisher, Dorothy Books, and what they're building out for me and what I'm building out, kind of putting my reputation on the line for the first time. It's a little different when you're selling it versus, it's even different than karaoke when I'm saying just come and hang out. I can always fill any of those rooms.
I got a feeling that you're the king of karaoke.
And we do it.
What's your favorite karaoke
We do
song?
it. Maxwell's This Woman's Work. I stay in my head voice, so I use my falsetto a lot. So I'm big Maxwell, This Woman's Work. I'm big Earth, Wind, and Fire, Reasons.
Let me ask you now. Nice. I know she asked you earlier, but hey, if you are going to do something,
I'm not going to do it.
You got to do Maxwell.
You know what? You should pull up hashtag All Star Karaoke all over social media. You can see the fun we have, and you can hear me in my prepared voice.
Nice. Your prepared voice.
And also, I think I hope we'll hang out again, and then next time we'll schedule me to sing.
Vision.
We'll make it work. We'll do it there.
All right, cool.
Invite you to some events that we're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Come on out, do it.
Hang
out.
Pressure. No pressure.
Hang out.
And I do the divas as well, so I not only do our falsetto brethren, Eric Benet, I get him in there. But where Diana does her business, I can probably make that work in my own way. Where Jennifer, I do a lot of the staged belting things. So I love Jennifer Holliday and Jennifer Hudson and what they bring to the American Songbook, and I get that in.
On radio?
I have, and that's radio, TV, film was the concentration that they offered us in college. So I studied and did a lot of work with WCLK 91.9 FM in Atlanta, and so I've done radio. I'm open to it. People say now in this converging era, they say you should do a podcast. So I hear the calling to that. So that could perhaps be something that I look into as well. But so to your question about the what's next, I think I'm on the what's next, which is to continue to share me, but to share me in perhaps the most pure way yet. Because I've always been attached to other brands that have maybe dwarfed the me in the equation. I mean, you can't work for Oprah and not be dwarfed by Oprah. You can't work for Wendy and not have somebody saying, how you doing? You can't work for BET and not have somebody asking you what's happening on me being Mary Jane,
There was a lot of drama going around about Wendy, about how she used to treat her employees. Now, I'm not asking you to answer these questions.
Why we sign confidentiality and NDAs and all of that.
Okay.
Let me just say this, and it's an honest thing that I can say because it doesn't violate my NDA. I didn't know that after working with the Oprah show for all those years, with the deep pockets that the production budget had, I would say production is a headache. TV production is a headache, but Oprah pays for the headache, you know. I didn't think I'd find another talent worthy of the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into producing. And I have to say, Wendy Williams was the first to let me know that there are many talented personalities out there who do it well, and they do it from their heart. You know, her heart is not going to be giving away a bunch of cars and going to South Africa, which I've had the chance to do those kinds of things with Oprah, but her brand is her brand. And it was so nice for me to be able to work with this other emerging TV talent. You know, she was already established radio, but to be able to kind of bring my expertise to talk and to have her shine under my thumb, if you will. And so I have to say, she's amazing.
I always wanted her to continue to do radio too.
Yeah.
Just like how Steve Harvey did.
Yes.
I think that she could have built a cast around her.
Yeah.
That could have handled when
she did it for a bit. I think the first 2 years of the of the TV, she was going back and forth, and then at some point she just made the decision. You know,
like be much bigger right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, she's big.
She's pretty. She's
big.
I think she's bigger on TV than she was as on radio.
I think so, and I think she's arced well for what TV is, because TV is a different medium.
I think she grabbed the white audience now.
Well, but
she's the new Oprah.
That's what TV talk is. You know, you're speaking to the base, and that base comes from the mid. Well, I used to always say I loved. I used to schedule my classes around Oprah. You know, I can't do any 4 o'clock classes, and then Glee Club had sectionals at 4 o'clock. I'm like, what am I gonna do? You know, I gotta get that VCR set. But you know, on certain days, during those days, you just wanted to see things in real time. Now everything is on demand. I'll just see it when I can. But in the 90s, I'm like, I gotta see it when it happens. If Luther's on Oprah, I want to be there when everybody else is seeing it.
That's right.
But
who are some of your favorite singers, though?
My favorite, Diana Ross is a big. I love Motown, so all those got Stevie, Marvin, Luther is a big idol, and you know, for what his own internal struggle, he didn't know what to call himself in society. You know, whatever his personal demons were, I connected to that. When he said, I speak to myself sometimes and I say, oh my, in a lot of ways, you're a lucky guy. And it leads into the chorus. All I want is the chance to find any love.
I never thought about that song the way you just said it.
Well, I don't know if that's what he was talking about.
Think about it.
But when I was listening to it, I heard it from his heart to my heart as a struggling man.
That's interesting.
It's, from my situation, like I told you with Margot, I used to, on the side, I used to run security at a club.
Yeah.
And, used to make some extra money.
Yes.
Remember the tunnel?
Of course.
And I used to have this room in the back called the Kenny Sharp Room.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with that room?
I'm familiar, yeah.
Kenny Sharp Room. And that was, I'm not going to use that word, but that was the room that whatever people preferred.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I used to hold so much conversation back then. My dentist came out of there. I used an attorney out of there one time. And
I mean, we're great networkers. I'm just saying, right. We're people.
Outstanding. And like I said, I better not ever use that word around my uncle.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, he'd be like, "I'll tell you about that." Use that word.
But I get the mindset. I mean, so much of what I had to push through was in relanguaging. I wanted, being with the extended family early on in my childhood, a homophobic joke, you want to kill, you give a homophobic joke, that's going to have everybody laughing. Think about Sanford and Son. I still look at those old episodes of Fred and I giggle because that quality of humor comes from but it was funny, but it was hurting. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy did it as well, in Raw, there were some real genius moments in the pop culture lexicon that lived at the expense of comedy gays that may have wanted to come out, but I'm not going to come out and be be at the end of somebody's joke. So imagine just 2 years ago playing a game with the family. You know, I'm established, accomplished. I gifted everybody like Santa could only do. And we're playing a game of taboo. And a homophobic, so we're trying to split it between the boys and the girls. The boys and the girls. It was a little uneven. And this one family member says, well, you know, if Patrick plays with the girls, everything will be great. It'll be even.
Oh, wow.
Now, what I love is that was compared to those moments where we were all laughing at homophobia. You could hear 2 years ago a pin drop. And then my brother-in-law said, was that a slur? You know, and I said, do you think? And then in that moment, instead of slicing that family member down with shame and everything that I could have, I politely vacated the premises because there were other family members I could visit in Savannah during that time. And I said, you know what? I don't have to tolerate this anymore. I can just walk away from the homophobia.
Did you forgive him?
He's forgiven, but guess what? In walking away from the homophobia, the night was done. I killed the night. But I didn't kill the night. He killed the night. And he understands what homophobia can do. Because had I killed the night by staying, I would have cussed about. It would have just been enough. And then somewhere I would have been this crazy gay madman for what I might have said. In a reactive response of rage. But I just sort of delicately walked away. And then we were able to, this family member and I, have that conversation later on how there's just no place for that anymore. You know, like, we're better than that. You're better than that. I deserve better than that.
I feel that it works better when you don't even acknowledge it, as far as not just on your behalf, but on the behalf of the family, of acceptance. Like within my family, for my uncles and all, it's acceptance there. So no matter how we play and joke, it's love. And there's no homophobia. There's no, you know what I mean?
I get it.
It's none of that there.
Which is a unique and special thing. But I'm telling you, that's not most households.
I'm more sensitive for him. All right, and I said, "What did you say?" You know what I'm saying? I'm more sensitive to him, so they say, "You don't mess around with them cats."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
I remember my nephew. He junior and senior at Morehouse. He took after his uncle, and we love it. And I remember his junior year, my partner and I were going to take him to see the Broadway show Passing Strange. It was the last weekend that it was on Broadway because it was short-lived, though critically acclaimed. And Spike Lee was filming those last 3 shows, which he turned into a wonderful special that ran on PBS. So I'm excited to take my nephew, and my nephew gets a call from one of his Morehouse Spelman people who were interning in New York at the same time. He says, all I hear is his side of the conversation. I'm walking down the hallway into the living area, and I hear him say, "I can't go," to his friend. I don't hear what the friend says. He says, "To a Broadway play." I don't know what the friend says. He says, "With my uncle." I don't know what the person says. He says, "With my uncle and his partner." At which time, because I'm eavesdropping, right? I'm like, no, like, kind of like, I'm like, don't say that, you know. And then the next thing my nephew said, "All right, talk to you later."
So he didn't go.
No, it didn't mean anything to him. My nephew is not any way impacted by the people from whom we come, who are homophobic. He obviously his peers don't have a thing. It was just information. But in that moment, I'm there protective for him, like he's describing on behalf of your uncle. I'm there, like, protective for him, like, don't say I'm your gay uncle, you know. But it's like, no, it's not a thing.
That's because people don't get to know other people. Society is judgmental.
It's so judgmental.
They don't get to know, like, even with race, they don't get to know.
Absolutely, race, absolutely. So and I know that story too, coming from Savannah. Once we got to Savannah after our international travel, in my lifetime, the cross was burned in the front yard. And I saw my parents were away. The cop opens and says, "Hey, are you familiar with what a burning cross means?" I said, "I saw roots," because at that point, that was kind of like the only connection I could make to it. And it was a white person telling us N-word, go home, because we were integrating a suburbia in Savannah.
Alabama was like that.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't want us. And we were bringing the property value down.
I used to go to the summers down to Marion, Alabama, and go into town. It's like, say, I had to use the bathroom. And they had the black and white bathroom.
Yeah.
And I used to be like this in New York. We didn't have to do this. Molly said, just go in that bathroom. I'm like, but Mom, why I gotta go?
Right.
And never. I used to come back to New York and tell people, yo, crazy down there, man.
I felt it as soon as we landed. Literally, it was like I was 9, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be an interesting experiment. And it was. And I got the heck out of there.
My cousin, he's the one that did the carriage for Martin Luther King when they brought the body from Marion into Selma. Albert Turner.
Yes.
Albert Turner Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so look up the history on Albert Turner Sr.
Nice.
The souls of black folk.
My mother's original Turner, but from my father's married name, Oliver. But
that's a name in the books. Yeah.
Albert Turner, and he carried the body right from there. And
so beautiful.
There's a lot of history.
How
can they follow you?
Oh, on all social media. Patrick.Riley on Instagram. Patarack on Twitter. That's
Patarack.
Yeah, Geraldo gave me that nickname.
Nice.
Patarack.
Okay.
And Facebook, Patrick Riley, Riley. And so you can see everything there. And if you want to find out more about the book project, dorpiebooks.com, DORPIE books.com. We're pre-ordering this project. This is a boutique publishing house, so our pre-orders will inform the printing, if you will, which is out in March. And so check out the site. We have preview chapters. There's a trailer on there that tells you more about what you can get out of the book. You can book me for stuff if you want to, but it's all on dorpiebooks.com. Okay. And the 5th through the 22nd of December is when we'll be doing pre-orders. So we'd love your support during that window.
You want to come back?
And
both the radio
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And then don't forget to tell them about to follow you and to the Dominican. Right.
And we'd love for you to come to our LGBTQ Music and Arts Festival, Memorial Day weekend. It is not just for LGBTQ, it's for our allies and friends. I have so many great straight guys and straight girls who come and hang out with us because it just so happens to be the place to be. And it's not reduced by its branding. It's actually elevated by the fact that it is an LGBTQ music and arts festival.
You know what I'd like you to do for me? I would like for you to give some sort of encouraging, or I don't know how to even word it the right way, but to people who don't understand, and for people to help understand that is hiding behind certain phobias about what they are and scared to come out with it. Could you give 2 minutes, a minute, whatever,
inspiration
to just, but it's for all things, not just inspiration, to help people that's hiding from who they are, and for people who don't understand what you are. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you, for me, I can look to a time before I came out when I thought, without putting that truth on my tongue and saying it loud, that I could exist and exist happily. Because what that happily meant to me is that I would have been comfortable from the judgment of my family or society. That happy meant that I would embrace what society wanted love to look like on me. So I would have, found a woman who was willing to, the woman where you walk around and you say to the woman, doesn't she know, while she's with her man who's, So I would have done something like that, probably had some, kids and a picket fence, and it would have made
American dream.
It would have made, my family happy.
Bruce Jenner, do you think he was always, and he did exactly what you said, got married, had kids, but just never faced his own reality? I'm not going to say demons, because I don't think they're demons.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so. I think so for sure. Just from her sharings about the evolution. Yeah. I do believe that these were internal conversations. I mean, there's this is my point, that internal conversation that you can't quite put language on, that internal conversation that you can't quite articulate. Eventually, you will find the words. And when you find the words to be authentic, loving, vulnerable, clear, you will find people who will meet you where you are. Mm-hmm. And guess what? To this day, you will still find people who don't understand. And guess what?
You don't care.
It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay, because you want to lead with the energy that is affirming. And let's think about it. At the end of the day, how many friends do we really need? If you really focus on those who affirm you and who you affirm, you've got your village.
Absolutely. I love it.
You want to hear something real quick? Real quick. My uncle was down in Marion in Alabama. Mm-hmm. And the guy said a comment out in town. He said, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Adam. He said, no, but he should have made Adam and Steve.
There you go. I love that. Nice. I love that. I love that.
Said, well, that was a good one, I told him.
I love that. My brother tried that one on me after he was introduced me to his mistress.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. He did?
Do the math. Do the spiritual, do the scriptural math on that.
This is why I so admire what you're doing, because you are a motivational, inspirational person.
Thank you.
For everyone and everything that you've done. That's why it's truly an honor to have you on our show tonight.
I'm thrilled.
And we got a couple minutes.
Okay.
I want you to repeat the branding of following you and what you got coming up, because we usually do an ending. I don't care about our ending right now. I want them to hear you brand yourself again, and how they can follow you. And God bless you. You're a good person. And I mean, hey, listen, you always a guest here.
Yep.
I'm always a guest.
I'm gonna invite you back again.
And thank you.
I want to talk to you some more.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Doug and Alisha. You both were wonderful to talk to. I just want to. I really want everybody to get into this book. I'm the author of That's What Friends Are For, on the women who inspired me, and many of there are many household names. Some of them are unsung, but they're all based on either true inspiration and or true interaction.
Now, can they pre-order the book?
You can pre-order the book.
How about doing that?
You can go to dorpybooks.com.
Let's give them that number.
Well, that's just a straight website, dorpybooks.com. And that's dorpiebooks.com. And our pre-order window is Tuesday, December 5th through Friday, December 22nd. We're really, and there'll be other ways to get the book, and it'll be available in traditional ways come spring.
I'm ordering it on December.
But we want your pre-order love. We really want the pre-order love, because it's, I really do think in 2018 we're going to be, and also I want to just add one thing, that we're losing folks every day. A lot of our legends, our icons. I'm not trying to kill anybody off in this book, but I really do want to use this as an opportunity for us to speak the names of the greats that can get lost in the sauce. Often millennials think that greatness just happened overnight, and there's a long history there that we all stand to be impacted by if we don't pay attention. Yep. There's enough going on beyond pop culture and entertainment, but in our world, that if we don't pay attention to the lessons that have already been learned, we could repeat some really awful scenarios. So from my corner of the world, I want to help us be reminded of our greatness. That's Black people, that's women, that's LGBTQ people, that's just,
networking.
All of us. All of us.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. You are the man.
I got love for you.
Thank you.
So
I love you both.
Like
Thank
I said,
you.
You will be back on our show and everything, and I'm sure we're gonna support everything that you do.
I look forward to it, and vice versa.
And if you can't make it when we call you, we want you to call.
Yep.
And I can do a phoner.
Yep. You're gonna be a special.